All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another serving of Nerd Takeout. We apologize. We were going to have like a really cool intro, and we don't have it this time. We'll get it.
We can work on it.
Yeah, we'll work on it. Who's that? He's not one of the four.
Kill him! Burn him!
Kill him with fire!
Without me, you'd be nothing.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, thanks everybody for listening again. We're not sure what you saw in the last podcast that actually made you want to come back and listen to this.
On a podcast.
Anyway, so we hope that our discussion this week, we hope it at least makes you think about Spider-Man in some kind of way.
Reevaluate your life.
Reevaluate your opinions on Spider-Man, or maybe just validate them. Period. I don't know. Before we roll into this, I have several people that I would like to thank. First of all, I really do want to thank our friend Garrett Landry, who designed an amazing logo.
We are not worthy of that logo.
Right, not worthy at all.
Not yet, anyway.
Right.
No.
If I were a takeout carton, I would be that takeout carton because it looks so awesome.
If I were not that takeout carton, I would be totally jealous of that takeout carton.
Yeah, really thankful for that.
So thank you, Garrett. Assuming you're actually listening to this, and you probably not, I don't know. And then BJ for getting at least y'all three.
Yeah,
would have got me into the movie.
If Josh wouldn't have made it complicated, then we all could have saw it together.
That's fine. I went and saw it with my wife.
But instead he wanted Andrew's girlfriend to be mad at him, so that's good. Solved two problems at once. We did good.
No.
We did good.
Yeah, I apologize if that got you in trouble.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure
She's fine. She's a trooper.
Okay.
Shut up, Neil.
And lastly, we would like to thank Matt, the mumbling voice in the background, for recording sound.
We also talked about polarity, so now we understand how all mics work.
Right.
All mics ever.
So, anyways, all right. So last week we talked about Mass Effect 3, specifically the extended ending. We talked about what we thought, and Neil told us why he thought space magic was the answer and showed his ineptitude to even be on this. So,
by providing the only correct thing in the whole entire podcast. But we're not going to talk
Peter
about that.
Parker disagrees with you.
But we're not going to talk about any Mass Effect spoilers in this whole entire time. So.
And now last week, Joe Michael wasn't with us, and he is this week. So Joe Michael, my friend, my cousin, and a downright handsome Irishman, if I do say so myself.
Oh, what a great
welcome,
beard.
Joe Michael.
Oh, I'm glad to be aboard.
Pirate's earring.
Yes.
So let's jump into this. The ultimate, the Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb, the same guy who did 500 Days of Summer.
Did anybody laugh at that whenever it said directed by Mark Webb at the end? I was like,
Mark
Webb. Neil loved it. He pointed out to me, actually.
Yeah, no,
actually,
I didn't laugh at all. I just shook my head at Andrew.
Well, regardless
right?
of whether or not you like the movie, he must have done a really good job of convincing the studio that it was worth. Hey, give me $200 or so million, and all I've done is this indie romance film. So whatever, good job to him for that. Of course, it starred Mark Zuckerberg's main enemy, Andrew Garfield. I don't know what his name was in The Social Network, and then Emma Stone.
I think he was Peter Parker in that too.
And Emma Stone played like the same Emma Stone character she played
right,
in the movie.
But we'll get into that in a little bit. Written by some I didn't
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, so let's go around the table, and before we get really into the nitty gritty, just give our brief. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And since we didn't hear from you last week, and everybody's probably already sick of hearing from us.
Oh, okay.
John Michael, indulge us.
Well, I guess I'll take the one side of the viewpoint that I think no one else will share is that I really liked it.
Why do you assume that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys did. I don't know. I'm ready to hear. But no, I really enjoyed it for what
you
it's
saw it
worth.
Twice. So.
I did. I saw it twice.
Did you see it in 3D the first time?
No, I saw it 2D normal. So basically, my opinion counts doubly because I've seen it more than you guys.
So it's twice as awesome.
So
did you like it as much the second time?
It was just as good, I think. I don't think I liked it less or more necessarily. I think I liked it equally. But that being said, I think I did see a few more faults and notice a few more things that maybe I wouldn't have cared to have picked out the first time. Overall, though, I really did enjoy the movie. So
cool. That's pretty presumptuous. Maybe I wanted to go next, Andrew.
I got pointed at, so.
His evil, angry glare was
he went, you. I just want to say I was not a fan of the group of people that were sitting in front, to the left, to the right, and behind us in that movie
their
theater.
cell phones and talking
and the small child that would not stop
And then
asking,
parents
"Is that
like-
Spider-Man? Is that Spider-Man?
It's
Is that
clearly
Spider-Man?"
Spider-Man. Yeah, and the parents like encouraging them to keep talking, like, yeah, ask more questions about this movie that you're currently watching.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, no, there was some pretty, no, I agree, that was pretty.
But justice was served on the way out of the
that kid got beat to hell on the way home. We watched that as we were walking. That kid got beat pretty bad. So.
His dad was spanking that ass.
And I'm glad he did it where everyone could see. He's like, look, I don't condone what this child.
Right.
It's the end.
If I could have reached him in the movie.
But you just did not like the movie?
No, but the actual movie, no. I guess I'm kind of on the fence still. There are a lot of No, I will not. There are a lot of. If I can see it for free, yeah. And in IMAX 3D, because that's the only way to see a movie apparently.
This is true.
There were parts that I did like. For instance, I liked the guy that actually played Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
which we will definitely talk about later. But there are a lot of forgettable moments in that film that I just
Can't remember
because they're
I can't name a single one of them, as a matter of fact.
I would have written them down, but I forgot. But all in all, I walked out with.
I mean, you saw it for free.
I saw it for free.
If you paid for it, would you have regretted paying money for it?
Yeah. I probably would have. It's so hard because I like Spider-Man. I guess I don't know. It was like a high school teen angsty movie with Spider-Man in it. But all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Go, Neil.
Yeah. So I like John Michael really liked the movie. So I don't actually know why you couldn't. That couldn't have liked the movie, but I mean it's I mean I thought it was very. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was very well cast.
I think so.
Way better than the previous Spider-Man movies were cast for various reasons. Like almost everyone in the movie I thought was a better cast. I liked the action scenes in the movie. I felt that they were done really well.
That's one of the things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to interject for a minute.
Yeah, no.
Visually, it's an incredible movie. I think
seeing it in IMAX 3D would have been good. Go back if you go back and watch the original Spider-Man movies. Those did not hold up very well, and some of those action scenes
what year
were
was
really
it when
bad.
those came out?
2002 or something like that.
What year is it now?
But that doesn't mean that the action scenes couldn't have been good because they had that older. But no, I really liked it overall, and I liked the movie. I thought it was entertaining.
Cool. Okay. You saw it and had paid for it.
You was in John Michael.
I did pay for it.
So I paid for. I mean, me and my wife went and saw it.
Josh and his wife.
And I don't think that. Ultimately.
Amazingly.
I don't feel like I wasted my money seeing it. I was entertained. I don't really think I was ever bored by the movie.
Did Jamie feel the same way?
She felt the same way. Okay. But I don't know. There are a lot of problems with the movie. I felt like it was good, but there were so many things about it, and we'll get into that further. There were a lot of problems that kept it, a lot of squandered potential, I think, maybe. That kept it from being like, wow, that was really, really good and entertaining.
I think if it just wasn't a regurgitated movie of a film that we had seen a few years ago, it probably would have been a lot better. Because I still think it was.
That's one of the problems.
Yeah.
Is like people had an axe to grind with this movie before they saw it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, well, it was unnecessary. It's still even though I like the movie, I still feel like the entire film is unnecessary.
Well, okay,
to exist.
You know what? Maybe it is, but I look at this movie, and one of the things I liked about it the most is we look at all these comic book movies that have been coming out, especially on the Marvel end, and I feel like this Spider-Man movie fits into a more cohesive Marvel universe than the previous Spider-Man did. I can see, I know there's licensing issues.
Sony Pictures,
right? Exactly.
Stopping anything awesome from happening. Yeah.
Of course. But I could still see this Spider-Man showing up, with the rest of the Avengers.
Yeah, I think it still fits into that whole entire thing.
He should be in the Avengers too.
But when you do a reboot, right? Like Marvel a while back, they had that really horrible Hulk movie, right? And then they rebooted it into the awesome Hulk movie, right? Exactly. What they did was, without having to regurgitate the same stuff, they just did the origin part within the first 5 minutes of the credits, so you didn't have to rewatch the whole entire movie you just saw. See, in Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man, though, they didn't do that. So I had to watch the whole like, there's a guy robbing a store. Oh, I wonder what's gonna happen next to Uncle Ben. Oh, stuff like that. And that was the part where I felt like that didn't keep me engaged as much from a story perspective. Right. But again, and I think people know that story, so I don't think you had to retell it.
Yeah. But they, They kind of redid it, I guess.
Sure.
Not the exact same thing you saw before.
Yeah, like an ad lib. They just put in different. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
It's like their kind of take on Spider-Man, and I don't think they necessarily did it wrong. There's different ways to tell a story. And
let's argue about how we like it. And they don't. Yeah.
I agree. Like I think they did. I was fine with going through the whole thing again. I guess it was an origin, so I expected that. One of the things I think that maybe bothered me about the way they did it was, so when he first got his powers, which I don't know, whenever all the spiders fell on him, no. But
well, spoiler alert, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna spoil everything.
Yeah, spoilers, guys.
There's so many.
Wait, just I don't understand. I still don't really understand that whole scene.
What?
The spider scene you're talking about? What was that going on?
Yeah. That's where they're creating the bio webbing.
Oh.
You see later on. That's where.
That was actually the bioweb.
That was actually.
That just went right over my head. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, like
that makes
goes
sense.
into the bio cable room, and then the spider.
He finds a little.
That actually makes sense.
I like the canister.
I learned something new.
But to get to the thing, like I didn't like. Okay, so he got bit by this thing, and he wakes up on a train, and all of a sudden he has this powers, and he jumps on the roof. And then so he's sticking to everything. But then sometimes he doesn't stick to everything, and I feel like he only stuck whenever it served his purpose or it was comically funny.
No, I think he had control, but he was finding out that he had control. Because Spider-Man in the comic books is like he doesn't stick to everything, but if he wants to stick to a wall, he sticks to a wall.
He just got these powers. He doesn't know he has them yet.
And that's why they were showing all that, he's his senses were all out of whack, he was starting to see things really fast and stuff like that. So I think,
it's like he hadn't adapted to such new powers.
Well, that's fine. I can go with that.
And I like that scene in the train. I like that scene where he was grabbing things.
I hated that, dude. I hated that scene.
That wasn't awesome.
No.
Well, it was too much fun. Is that
it was too stupid. It was too I'm gonna rip her shirt off. I'm gonna accidentally hit this
all about, man.
Yeah, ripping people's shirt off is all about.
It was too much. It was too cheesy. Now the whole thing. Now one thing that I did like about the Spider-Man, I thought his little quips as Spider-Man, way better.
That's one thing I wanted to see.
Greatest thing.
That's one thing I wanted to see more of in this movie. And every single battle, I wanted him to have.
And he did do a pretty good job, because I think they actually did try that in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man originally, but Tobey Maguire delivered it so bad that every time he did it, you're just like, oh please God, no. And I think they did a better job of that.
Well, and I think that was a big thing about the movie for me, was that there were things in the movie that I found genuinely funny. Like whenever he hits the guy against the wall, I thought it was hilarious. So whenever there were certain points of the movie where oops, I hit this guy, and I didn't like the way the scene was edited, but just it was just too silly. And I think there were points in the movie where they were trying to walk that line, and they went too far. And that was one scene.
Too far being
just too corny, too cheesy. Where he spins her around on the roof, and I'm just like, no, because you have this desaturated tone, and it's dark, and it's kind of funny, but then you do these things that are just.
I feel like they had to do it for the audience they were going for with Spider, because you're gonna have a whole bunch of. This is not gonna be like the Dark Knight stuff. You have a whole bunch of kids and little families that are gonna go see it, because Spider-Man did such a good job at attracting that audience, and I think that was their trying to do that line. But I agree that they did. Sometimes it was a little much even for me.
There's a scene where Uncle Ben gets shot, and he's pumping blood out of his. It's not even red comic blood. It's that dark horror black blood, and it's so serious. And I just felt like I get what they were trying to do. As Spider-Man, I do feel like you have to walk that line. But for a movie that just came out the Avengers, that I felt walked that line phenomenally well.
But no, it didn't. It was just the complete opposite angle. They didn't even pretend to be remotely serious in Avengers.
But there were things about the movie when. Avengers,
spoil Avengers too.
If you haven't seen it yet, you need to kill yourself anyway.
Yeah, right. Where Colston got stabbed, and I was like, whoa.
Well,
that moment to me was way more emotionally impacting than anything that happened in Spider-Man.
But I think the reason that a lot of that stuff in Spider-Man didn't seem emotionally impacting is because you really saw it coming, as opposed to the Avengers. You knew Uncle Ben was going to die.
Well, but I thought the scene when, and I'm going to call him Dennis Leary because I don't know what his character's name is, when he got it on the roof, I thought that was. I saw it coming, but I felt like it was necessary.
You know, I've called him Commissioner Gordon like 12 times because the whole way that whole Gwen Stacy thing, I just kept thinking Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. I had no idea what his name was. That really is all I kept calling him.
Well, something I want. Did anybody? Because I have something I want to bring up. Did anybody have anything else that they wanted?
Yeah, I want to say
that
that one scene when. Commissioner Gordon, Stacy, was just blasting away at Killer Croc, Lizard, with that shotgun, like blowing. He's just like, calm that tower, just like, and he fell down in the pit, and he was like standing on top of the pit, just popping that dude. I was like, that is awesome. I
loved it because
I love that part.
Because Spider-Man runs out, and how are we going to solve this problem? Oh, I know.
Yeah, he's like, let me freeze him and then shoot him with a shotgun, Sub-Zero style.
Yeah, you had something you wanted to. Okay, so. It was clearly something that before the movie, I think everyone was wondering, everyone was talking about, and so now that we've seen it, I want to ask, and I think we've already answered to an extent, but I want to ask it anyway. Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield?
Oh, Andrew Garfield all the way.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
Andrew Garfield.
Definitely. You could extend that to the whole entire cast because
which I do want to get into.
Because love interest wise, Kirsten Dunst couldn't act at all, and she's just horrible in those movies.
She's the worst Mary Jane
ever.
For anything ever made.
Yeah, she's not great.
When your hair was longer, you were a better Mary Jane.
And Emma Stone did even though I don't really feel like maybe the character of Gwen Stacy wasn't that great, I feel like Emma Stone played a really good, likable Emma Stone in the movie, and that worked for me.
She brought
and she was like a strong female lead though. She was good.
Right. Yeah. Now that's something that I thought was interesting. So
she had stockings, hot scientist stockings.
I found, and it was weird because I like Emma Stone. I think Emma Stone plays that character well. She's a beautiful girl. She's got a great smile. She's very easy to like.
Pretty eyes.
But I found the fact that she was supposed to represent a 17-year-old girl kind of jarring. Where I didn't find that problem with Andrew Garfield. But ultimately, I liked her, and I thought their chemistry was good.
I thought their chemistry was good. In the comics, they actually are supposed to meet when they're in university anyway. Yep. And the way they kind of tied that in, where she was like an intern there, I liked the way it played off, because it didn't really go too far out of canon for me to be weird. And I liked it. Like, I thought it did a good job.
Spider-Man cartoon?
No, but she's in that, right?
Yeah. It's like, it takes Spider-Man back to high school. And,
okay.
I mean, that's kind of how the movie kind of
probably what they were tying in.
Yeah.
And I mean, and again, I think that, I don't know how y'all felt, but about the Uncle Ben and Aunt May, how did y'all feel about them as,
the cast.
I thought, besides the fact that I thought the movie, and this is something we could touch on in a second, besides the fact that I thought the movie made Aunt May a completely useless character.
Yep.
That's true.
Uncle Ben just died. Okay, we'll never speak of that again. But I thought, and maybe it's just because Martin Sheen is just good at playing that character.
The elusive man.
the elusive man. Mass Effect.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
But Matthew, don't sneeze. You're gonna mess up. But I feel like I thought, just as the wise old uncle or dad, or whatever it was, I liked him.
Yeah, I was totally into that.
Totally
and what you said about her being irrelevant to the movie, like as a character, I actually didn't feel that way. Now, I did like the portrayal of Aunt May in the other Spider-Man movies better. It just fit the comic book more.
Right.
But what they were doing to make her, I guess, I don't know, like the whole family aspect they were trying to show in the movie,
right.
I think they did do a good job, and I think them not mentioning it, like talking about the whole Ben thing, was playing more into like she just wasn't asking questions anymore, and they weren't doing that. Right. They weren't going to have that type of relationship where she was just going to be there for him, or he was going to be there and try to be there for her and try to keep the promises that he made.
And that's like one of the last scenes you kind of see that without any words. And that was a really good scene.
And she's a really good actress. Like I thought that, but again they didn't.
It was like he died, and it's this monumental moment in Spider-Man's life. And I like the fact that I get that immediately his first reaction is not necessarily to take care of Aunt May. It's to go find the guy. To go find the guy who did it, and I like that. But literally, he covers her up on a couch, but we don't see any grief from her. We don't see any anguish, and I just felt
that's not necessarily true, because there's that moment where like she's like, I can't sleep, and like,
that's what it's supposed to be, dude.
But to me, it was more like I can't sleep because, and I got that. I felt like she couldn't sleep because he's really all she had left.
Right. That's what they were hinting at.
But I just felt like
grief.
But I just didn't feel like that was not fleshed out enough. It was there.
But I felt like they did a good job, and I felt that even the other like smaller like minor parts in the movie I liked. Like I thought the character of Flash played like the jock and douchebag.
That name.
Like really. The name does half of it by itself. But I do think they did a really good job with him, and had him in a few scenes, and even had him like not be like a total asshole when he comes to him after his uncle died.
Right,
and stuff
which I like.
Just like a stereotype.
Yeah, I thought that was done very, very, very well.
His acting sucks.
What do we think?
He's Flash.
He's supposed to be just a meathead.
So I think in any superhero movie, besides the superhero himself, clearly the other most important element is the villain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now I'm probably going to screw this up. I went and looked it up, and I believe you pronounce his name Rhys Ifans.
I tried to pronounce that earlier. I was looking at it. I was like,
I actually found a pronunciation. We're going to call him that. So, number one, did you like how he played him? And two, did you actually think they did a good job with the Lizard?
I liked how he played Dr. Connors, and I liked how Dr. Connors was written. I felt like he was a little bit angrier than the Dr. Connors I'm used to from the old Spider-Man cartoon or the comics. But I felt that, and this isn't really his fault as an actor, but the Lizard looked like a damn Goomba from the Super Mario Bros. Movies.
Yes.
I couldn't take that seriously because of how dumb it looked.
Like, if we look at the
God.
You know the scene where they shrink the guy's head?
Yeah,
no.
Freaking
like,
Goomba.
All I was thinking the entire time was Reptile from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it just,
like, that's what I was thinking. But like, if we look at the Reptile, like from the Lizard from the comic books and things like that,
or
that
the
guy
original
looks
cartoon
awesome.
series. Yeah, it just looks really neat. Like the way he wears a little lab coat, which
Like
they tried to do.
That's like Hulk-esque.
Yeah, I was like, every time I saw him entering the scene as Killer Croc, the Lizard, I was like, leave the lab coat on, leave the lab coat on. I was like, please.
He's
and
wearing it at one point,
and they kept
ripping it off.
I know, I was like, no, leave it on.
Now that's actually surprisingly one of the things that I thought this movie did well was little details like Uncle Ben coming in and picked up a solved Rubik's Cube on his desk, and then you see what's-her-face on the desktop of the computer, and he kind of makes a mention, and it's real subtle. And I actually like the fact that and I thought, we talked about like them trying to walk that middle line between serious and comedy. I like the fact that he didn't have that coat on, but I like the fact that he came up with it, and I was almost saying like, we get it, here it is, there you go.
I'm glad they at least put that in there because I would have been probably more.
It would make sense because dude was like monstrous.
Oh yeah, but that's also part of the problem because the Lizard in the comics, originally was like pretty like normal size as a human being and he looked the same. Right. But later on, like in the comics, they did make him kind of swollen, big, and like bigger than Ben. And I don't like that Lizard. So I get what they were doing, but the face part where you saw the actor's face.
All they had to do was just extend the snout.
Yeah, but it was kind of almost like that Venom from Spider-Man 3, where you kind of like, I don't really like this. This is kind of stupid.
I still want to like punch you for making this a little bit.
Yeah, but him, running around destroying stuff, ripping people, having claws, all that stuff is neat. I just didn't really. But the actor.
But let's go back to this. As a villain, I liked him as a villain in the movie.
Yeah. And I think Dr. Connors is an interesting character in general, like in this Spider-Man universe. Yeah, because he's not bad. Like the Dr. Connors guy isn't bad. Like he's this handicapped guy who wants to have his arm back and he wants to help people, but he's just become obsessed with that idea and just willing to do anything to have it done.
And that's where the Lizard personality takes over from there.
Right.
And just destroys his mind, and he's like fighting this internal battle.
Yeah.
And
but Andrew won.
And go for it, Andrew.
I want to talk about that nub of an arm that he would not like cover it up, dude.
We're not going to talk about.
I want to talk about that. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
if you have prejudice against handicapped people, we can talk about it.
I like it because I thought that loving his performance in The Replacements and knowing that he has two arms, and noticeably watching that,
let's give props to the special effects. It
I've never seen that actor in a lot of different movies, so that didn't really bother me. So, no, but I mean.
Nub.
That's
what I'm talking about. The nub.
I have a question. So how did y'all feel about the suit in general, or like not just the suit, but the shooter too, like the whole thing?
Here's the thing: I've always and they did it in the first one, they did it in this one. It's like he makes his own suit, but it looks like it's like so professional.
Cirque du Soleil or whatever, they actually made the suit, so that's probably why it looks professional.
Looks so cool.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah. I love his new suit, but like I
wouldn't say that part though.
It's just I don't buy that he made.
Yeah, I don't buy the suit. I like the suit. I don't buy the suit. What I bought even less was the fact that he was able to, with the whatever it was in his room can make some super biotic web like
it wasn't no it wasn't. It was just a shooter for the web that was made at the
it's already made the cartridges that do the work.
That's what I said. They already had the cartridges because it was made like that. You saw it in the thing. So no, all he did was make a thing to where he pressed a button and it shot out.
At the same time, like that's straight from the comic books. He does make
and that's better than him just like ejaculating webs out of his thing from the first movie.
Yeah, like I mean that's straight from the comic books. He doesn't have that power initially. That comes like later on in like some variations of it. Like he mutates further, I guess. But originally, he does not have organic web shooters. He has to build his own.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool.
I think they were kind of cool.
I like the way they sounded. They were good sound.
They sounded cool. To me, that was just an extension of the suit. Was just like, I'm gonna go sit in my room and they alluded to it earlier when for some reason he had this super cool electronic door locker that he had just put together.
Correct, they did allude to that.
But he's
super smart.
It was just it was a little bit too much for me. It was too much.
Of all the things to suspend my disbelief, the web shooter did not bother me.
The web shooter actually bothered me. The web shooter bothered me a lot more than his superhero ability.
I think I really like.
So are you really telling me you would have rathered have
but I would have rathered a different way.
That's
like or like him. Like I'm gonna go break in this lab, pull all these devices.
Well, in their defense though, they didn't show him really doing anything besides like playing with some edge logic, so they didn't try to fib it that much.
Yeah,
I'm glad they didn't go into too much detail.
They montaged it so they can. They just let's glaze over it.
Did you? I mean, I liked the Stan Lee cameo that they did.
Oh, that was like my favorite Stan Lee cameo ever. Yeah, number one because it was filmed phenomenally.
Right.
It was just. I mean, it was hilarious.
It's funny and it's. The fight scene in the back is just really awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
And the fact that I love long camera shots, moving camera shots, and a lot of things going on within like a single.
Yeah. And they did it really nicely.
Yes. It was in fact that was. I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably my favorite shot of the whole movie.
Look, I'm not just from
a constructive shot
standpoint. I don't know why. Like it just, but
aesthetically, it was just phenomenal.
Exactly, and the table gets thrown at him, and Spider-Man flings it back.
And the way they pulled it all off, and it all fit, and it didn't seem out of place. Like it felt they're fighting in this school. This is awesome. Right. And the way they did it, just
Well, it was funny, but it looked good too. It was good, and I thought that was just a great. I love that. Love that shot.
If you don't, so on back to like the web shooters and things like that. How do you guys feel about how Spider-Man kind of moved around the city?
That's actually what I wanted to say. Like they had a lot of complaints from like message board trolls and stuff like that from the first few movies, saying that he was it was against physics and stuff like that, the way he was moving around. And they even alluded to that in the movie, which was kind of funny when he's like following their guys.
Right.
But I think they did a really good job of him kind of like running on the wall and then shooting, like the way he moved and stuff. It all looked really good.
So these people on the internet. They
complain.
Nerds or trolls.
I'm sorry. What's the name of
this
podcast?
These dweeb. They're complaining about the physics of him swinging around. But they'll believe the fact that somebody get bit by a spider and become a Spider-Man.
People have been complaining about that forever, saying like, how Spider-Man rescues people when he like shoots them with the web when they're falling, how that would actually snap their spinal cord.
I hope that doesn't.
But it's like okay, we're not gonna talk about it. But yeah, no, I actually really thought that was like in general the CGI of Spider-Man moving around. They did a lot more stuff with him, not even in CGI, and it was done really good.
They really captured like kind of like Spider-Man's like moves and poses and
because that's why the Spider-Man movies years ago weren't done, is because they couldn't do that right. Like the way Spider-Man moves is like not possible for a normal person to really do.
At the end, they have a really cool. He has like a really cool pose like at the end. Except it's stupid because they slow it down and do Matrix effects and stuff.
Well, that's you know what that was. I saw it in 2D. And I watched it. I said, you know what this is? This is a 3D
shot. 3D shot.
And there were multiple 3D shots in the film.
Sony Pictures. This is why there's multiple 3D shots.
And I'm sorry. Take them out. Utter crap. Every single one of them.
No, see the movie in 3D. Don't be Josh Carell. It's done.
You know what we don't need though? 3D or not, we don't need the POV shots.
No.
Yeah. Well, really? Wait, really?
Hate it.
Really?
Okay.
I actually kind of liked that. No, I don't understand why would you not like that?
It's like this.
It's something different though. Why would you?
It was crap.
It's just. I don't think.
I'm not saying that it looked that great, but I like. But in theory, like I liked what it was doing, trying to do. No, I liked what they were trying to do, but I do agree that it kind of looked kind of lame.
Well, but it's one of those things where, and there was a lot of. I know, go see it in 3D, whatever. But the thing is, the fact
it's too distracting for Josh.
No. Like it's so when I go, let's say that I went and saw it in 3D at the movie theater, and I'm like, oh, these shots are so great. The obligatory 3D shots that are not going to be the same whenever I go and watch them or buy it in Blu-ray and watch my 2D TV. I still got to look at these stupid shots.
But now you're talking about something that's a bigger problem than just this movie. That's the whole issue of like 3D versus 2D movies. Because they could have just released it in only 3D, and then we wouldn't be having this discussion. But then that's a whole nother problem.
Right.
So you know what I mean?
I would. You know what? I would think. I would rather them. Okay, great. They have it. Put it out on Blu-ray. Cut all that out. Just cut it out. It doesn't look good. It doesn't translate well. I don't know how it looks in 3D. I can't attest that. They did a similar thing in How to Train Your Dragon in 3D. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Yeah, it actually worked.
How to Train Your Dragon was awesome.
The scenes with it, and maybe it translated that.
Sorry,
I don't know.
But while we're talking about CG and stuff being good in the movie, there was this one scene that just made me want to punch a hole through the whole entire movie theater. Was when that dumb ass CG rat ate the show him. I'm glad they didn't show it for that long, like on the screen. But I was just like shaking my head, being like, Jesus Christ, why is this in this movie? This is so dumb. It looks so cheesy.
Like,
but
it looks awful.
yeah, I get what they were doing. But like, they were like, oh, rat going crazy too. But
right after that scene, Neil leaned over to me and said, remind me of that scene.
Yeah.
So I don't forget about
I didn't think I was gonna forget it though.
Scene.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Speaking of scenes, all right, and like I said, I had an issue with I think that there were scenes that were like they were supposed to be really serious. I feel like there were scenes that were horribly, and I just felt like they went overboard. Can we please address? And I didn't mind the beginning of the basketball scene. Like I got it, but dunking on the goal.
Dude, I would have done
it.
I'm too. In the same position, I totally.
But see, you're saying that, but it's all just trying to make that like over the top, like kind of funny moments in the movie that you don't like. But and that's right. Now I can see, but it has to do with what you were saying, where the whole like thematically as a movie, it was very back and forth on whether it was trying to be too much of a comedy or too much of a serious film.
Thank you.
And that's something we can talk about because I do feel like I went back and watched the original Spider-Man movie before I went and saw it, like literally like 10 minutes before.
In Japanese.
Yeah, the Japanese.
You watched the whole Spider-Man movie in 10 minutes.
right. No. I mean, I did watch the whole entire thing before, but it was very bad. Like I remember liking it when I first watched it, but going back now. Because we've had so many good superhero movies since then, really good. We've had really good ones though, and then we've had some that no. Even the ones that are bad, even the ones that are not great, were better than that Spider-Man movie. Like if you go back and see it.
I remember seeing the first Spider-Man movie when it came out on DVD and was completely underwhelmed.
Okay, well, I mean, I grew up like my dad has like the old record of the original Spider-Man theme song. We like used to read the comics together. I collected the cards. I was like super into Spider-Man growing up, so I really was excited for when the Spider-Man movie came out.
I loved the second Spider-Man.
That doesn't make any sense because 2 and 1 are like the same movie. They like switch out villains. No, scene by scene, you can watch it and watch how Aunt May gets kidnapped. Oh shit, Aunt May gets kidnapped.
Maybe it's one of those things where I was so underwhelmed by not so underwhelmed by 1. It just didn't live up to what I thought.
But wait, or 2 was actually like a redefined version of 1 where I feel like they fixed a few problems in 1. So that's probably more what it was.
That was just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, because Green Goblin has like the Power Ranger boss thing in the first one was such garbage that
they didn't. We're getting into.
Yeah, we'll talk to that a little bit. Yeah.
Which let's okay. Now this is something that I did like.
I did want to talk about just the reason I brought that up. I forgot was that the tone of those movies of like Sam Raimi's both 3 movies. Like people crap on the 3rd one because it was a horrible movie, but they all had that like. That cheesy, like like almost all the movies that he makes.
But I feel like 3 took it.
No, it did. It did. But it was a blatant like F you to everybody. That's why they did that. Right. But I do think that this having a different tone, it kind of tried to do some of that funny stuff from the first one, and it just didn't really mesh well the whole entire time.
Now, something that I like. Does anybody want to? And I agree.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't think about it. We just mentioned it. Harry Osborn in the first one got angry because he didn't. It was always this. I'm gonna walk. I'm completely misunderstanding what's going on right now. So And so one thing that I liked because it just I don't know maybe it just angers me whenever I see it in movies. I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, but it just makes me angry. Is that there was a scene in this movie where he's at the top with Dennis Leary, who I thought did a good job playing that character, and he says, "Promise me that you'll keep her out of this." And I like that. I thought that was good. I thought that was a necessary thing to have. And so, he kind of he's at the roof of the funeral, and she comes up to the door and she says, "Why weren't you at the funeral?" or whatever. And then he's like, "I'm sorry, we can't be together." And then and I just feel like typically in a movie, she would walk off and get upset, and like it would just be this. I'd be aggravated because like, no, that's not what happened. But I love the fact that she took. I love the fact that she turned. I love the fact that she turned around and said, "He made you promise, didn't he?" And I'm like, good, good. Yeah. Let's just get that.
That was really, really. I'm really glad they did that.
So they established that she understood what was going. Now I don't know at the end. I felt like by him like telling her I can't keep all and them alluding they were going to get back together, I felt that undermined everything that came before it, and so I didn't like that so much. But I liked.
I feel like I understand why they did it.
He had time to think about it.
I get why they did it. I just.
It doesn't matter because in the next movie she's gonna be banging Flash. Flash. I don't know, almost. But that's basically what's gonna happen, and then it's gonna be this whole thing all over again. But I did really like that whole scene. I thought that was really good. Scene I didn't like though was remember when the Lizard or Dr. Connor I remember at the time was underground and in the sewer.
Are you gonna talk about the random schizo scene?
Yeah. Yes. Do you know why I didn't like that scene though? Because it reminded me of all that shit in Spider-Man 1 and 2 when he was having the Osborn and the Goblin talking to himself, and it reminded me of that a lot. And I really didn't like any of that. And so then when they alluded at the end with Osborn being there, I wasn't sure, is that really Osborn being there, or is that like more schizo shit? Or that, because that, I swear, that was like, so I didn't like that scene at all.
I agree, because I felt it was completely out of place. Number one, they never referred back to it. He was injecting chemicals in himself. He wasn't like, and that was changing his appearance, and I get how he would be attracted to wanting to go back to that, but it...
But is that him? Is that him talking in that scene, or is that the same voice that's at the end talking? Well, in that scene?
I felt like he was saying like, I thought he said a line in the movie that said like the lizard. I'm allowing the
correct. Like, but is that the serum part? Because if it's the serum part that through him is talking, then it would make sense to me that if they use that for the next movie, it would be like, oh, so this goblin, like it's all like this, thing that I just hate and think is dumb.
It didn't make any sense. I felt like it was out of place. They're like, oh wait, so the serum, it makes people schizophrenic now?
Right?
Like, they never referred back to it again, and I just I agree.
Yeah, I thought that scene was very...
You have an opinion on this, I can see.
No, I mean, well, of course that's not the only element that has been reused from the older Spider-Man movies.
Like that 90% of the script.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, that
wrestling
it is what it is.
I see the thing.
Yeah. Well, they had to do that to explain the uniform thing, though. I mean,
right. I know, but I like how fast they
don't say anything else though. Just do it. Yeah.
So
Lucha Libre. That would be awesome. You just look up how to say Spider-Man in Spanish.
He like sort of did that, right?
Yeah.
Like in the original, he was like sort of a Lucha Libre. I mean, he was. He like in
the comics, that was the first thing. In the comics,
that's where
the first thing
he
did.
Costume and his name.
Yeah, that's the first whole day.
They just kind of didn't. They just kind of glazed over that in this one, and I'm fine with them doing that. They just kind of took their own spin.
I got the point.
Exactly.
Which again was something that I thought this movie did well. Lizard in a lab coat. We got it. Throw it off. Good.
Yeah. Roll. Like one of the things is in this movie is that I didn't like. There are times when they just think the audience is so stupid. Like,
well, that's all movies now.
I know, exactly, but
not Prometheus though.
Yeah. Please, God. Yeah.
There is okay.
He's getting angry.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things is
except that the audience we did see it with were completely stupid.
Okay, they were pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
thus why it is like that.
Anyway, they're like these very like Hollywood moments where they just have no faith in the audience whatsoever. It's like the poison that the lizard is using is green, but the antidote is blue. Or there's this one scene that
you really need to beat Mass Effect.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's this one scene that just makes me so mad. It's he takes the
antidote or the
no. It's back. It goes back to where he's like hunting the dude who killed Uncle Ben, and the dude's hanging on the roof, and he pulls his shirt down, and it cuts to a flashback of the cop talking. He's like, "Remember, he has a star on his left wrist."
Yeah, and
so the audience is like, "Oh yeah, that's what he's looking for now." It only happened like 4 minutes ago, but I kind of forgot.
Wait, that was actually you actually brought up something that I really wanted to talk about. That maybe I was the only one who felt that way, but I don't like anything where this is the plot, like in any movie or anything where there's a like serum, a biological agent that they release that does something crazy. Like I hate that, and I really hate when like the solution to it is to build this machine that they conveniently hinted at the beginning of the movie that they foreshadowed that shoots into the air and automatically heals everyone instantly. I hate that stuff. I hated it in the Batman movie when they first did it with the Scarecrow stuff. I hated that. I really didn't like that whole part, and I hated it in this one. I just don't like the whole mysterious gas biological agent stuff. I don't think that's cool.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of a cop-out.
Yeah, I think that's an easy way to be like, how can we make it to where he has to save everybody? Okay.
But that's like classic comic book stuff.
Oh, it is. I mean, sure, but...
Yeah, when they're crappy. Yeah, that's like the bad ones. Yeah.
But I feel like, though, in Batman, it was more like...
the Batman Defense Force. Yeah, sure.
No, but I'm saying like in Batman, they were putting it in through the waterways to vaporize it, which made a little bit more sense than, hey, let's blow it over the top of a tower and then have everyone magically be... I'm just sorry. It worked. I get what you're saying. Like I can see why that would, but I felt like it was more feasible in Batman than than it was in this.
Yeah, because he used water. Yeah.
That didn't bother me as much as, hey, we need to go take this random chemical that no one's ever tested except for this guy. Go pop in a machine and make a serum for it real quick.
Yeah. So the thing they did mention in the movie, since the whole Osborn thing. Right. So they mentioned Osborn like
Osborn was mentioned in this movie?
Yeah. I didn't catch that.
Oscorp's Tower, maybe.
Did they come up in this movie?
No. Literally no other company in this universe. Like Oscorp delivers packages.
Yeah,
and
pretty much made everything.
Like,
so convenient.
So high school that he goes to Oscorp.
Yeah. So there's no illusions at all that perhaps we're gonna see more of the Osborn family in like the next installment or the installment after that. But I see that to me is disappointing. Because although Green Goblin is like a very popular Spider-Man villain, I understand why you want to do that and people know who he is, I really don't want to see that again.
No, I agree.
And
I would like to see some
anybody else except for Electro. And the
Vulture.
Dude, even the Vulture being awesome.
Villain.
Anybody else except for seeing the Green Goblin again, especially because I have a lack of faith that they'll be able to make
Carnage.
it look
I want to see him.
Carnage! But Carnage, if you put Carnage in the next, that's stepping your game up.
Totally
like
not.
I'm sorry, but I really don't feel like with the way that this movie, I felt like, all right, this is good. All right, blunt. I felt like maybe there was pressure from the studio. I don't know. I felt like the director didn't. You're talking about the comedy versus serious thing. I don't think he quite understood the tone of his movie. I don't think he struck that balance. And I feel like I love Carnage as a villain, but I'm sorry, I don't think this would be the director to handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think this is the series. This Spider-Man universe is not a
So you think it would be better for a Green Goblin throwing pumpkins at people would fit this series more because that character is just so great.
Hey, if we're going to keep dunking basketballs, that's okay.
But again, like, not to spoil everything that is Spider-Man with Gwen Stacy, but like they have to bring in the Green Goblin. Right. So I totally get it.
If you don't like spoilers, stop listening right now.
If you don't like spoilers, then you shouldn't be listening.
Yeah, but I mean,
let's cut this out. Gwen Stacy dies.
Right.
Okay, that's
Green Goblin.
And Green Goblin is one that kills it. And they are,
Spider-Man.
but the problem is they did that scene already in the original Spider-Man movie. Wrong, but they did that scene. And in the comics, later on, they did actually do that too, where they took Mary Jane into that scene and let him save both and crap like that, which undermined the whole entire thing. Exactly. But I feel like that's a problem. That's why I know they have to bring back the Green Goblin. I just hope that now they don't build him into like this robotic suit.
I get that. This was. I agree that the film was unnecessary. Someone asked me before the film came out, I said, do you want to see it? I said, no. He said, why? I said, because I feel like it's unnecessary. But we've rebooted it, and they did. I think they did their own thing with this. I feel like I can watch as independent Sam Raimi's films, but I'm not that this film was even in close with this, or this film doesn't even allude to the fact that it could even be this. But a lot of people said the same thing before The Dark Knight came out. About the Joker and being mortally offended that we would dare trudge on Jack Nicholson's ground. Now, Christopher Nolan, number one, Batman Begins showed way more promise into being what The Dark Knight could than this could be. But I just feel like
except for Batman Begins,
I feel like I just want to say that this movie, I'm saying it could be done well. I don't feel like the team behind this movie could do it.
You know what? I think given this movie that we've seen now, I'm really excited to see what could come of the next one. I think they set a lot of great groundwork for this.
I think that's true.
I'm calling it right now. Green Goblin is the villain for the second one, and it will be a trilogy. They're going to retry Venom for the third one.
I would really.
I bet they try Venom.
I mean,
bet they do. I
you
bet
know
they
what's
do.
sad? You're probably right, just because that's the easiest thing for them to probably do.
I bet they do.
And it is Sony Pictures instead of Marvel. Hey, can you guys fix that, please?
Yeah, no. Marvel has that whole team of lawyers, and they're still never gonna fix that problem. Because Sony would be stupid to give up the Spider-Man license.
Well, it's true because I mean, look at the money they made.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, overall, like I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was done. You know, it could have been done better. Could have had a better director. It could have had a better script. But I feel like from what they were working with, and I wasn't disappointed it was on screen. But that could just be because I really like Spider-Man, and I also, I mean, I just thought it looked really nice. It was better to me than Captain America and Thor were. So
I agree with you there.
So, but
I thought it was better than Captain America and substantially better than Thor.
And again, like that means this year, assuming that Dark Knight Rises doesn't suck, which it pretty much.
What if it does?
No, wait, like that. You know, we've had a really good year for comic book hero movies.
I mean, that's very promising for the years ahead as well. So I mean, we're getting to this point where things like, I guess, that make this podcast a bit more relevant, right? Because like superhero movies and things like that are becoming more relevant, more accepted. And we're taking them to a new level that people appreciate a bit more. We're making them more open for like a bigger public to watch and enjoy.
Yeah. And the nerds aren't as pissed as they used to be.
And
so
you know, I think the treatment of them is accurate for the most part. And we're not sacrificing.
It's better than the Mario Brothers were treated. To bring it back to that,
and it's better than Daredevil, and it's better than all the movies that used to be made.
I forgot about Daredevil.
I watched 10 minutes of Daredevil and turned it off. So I was just making that.
There's Daredevil. There's Ang Lee Hulk.
He's
just all pretty.
Didn't they have an
stuff.
Electro movie too?
Yeah,
see?
they did.
Didn't they have
Halle
two
Berry
Electro
as
movies?
Catwoman.
Did that happen?
I think you're just getting confused with Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah, the Halle Berry Catwoman.
I think you must have had a terrible nightmare.
That must.
Yeah, so I'm saying you can't.
Electro.
So when I look at this
time period though, it was. I don't remember. Maybe that was when the first.
It was
Spider-Man
probably Spider-Man that did that.
Yeah.
But no film until like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. After Spider-Man, there were all these superhero movies, and it wasn't until The Dark Knight, Batman, and Iron Man that people were like, "Oh, okay, well they can be done well." It wasn't like that; it was just a fluke.
They can be serious and done well, and they can be comically and done well. And even though I've stated many times that I don't like the first Iron Man as much as everyone does, I still do think that it did a lot for the genre.
Real quick, I want to make a different point. Speaking about Iron Man, I think one of the problems is, at least for this movie, and I guess in future movies from now, Iron Man kind of became what Spider-Man is, I feel, in some way, because Iron Man now becomes like, the one-liner guy. He's funny and like he steals the show and but that's kind of like Spider-Man's job, and I think they kind of gave that to Iron Man.
Yeah, the smart-ass remarks and stuff like that.
But that's more.
It'd be interesting to see Spider-Man and Iron Man working together in Avengers 2. That'd be fun.
In the first
Iron Man movie, they were trying to get Sony Pictures to let them have Tobey Maguire to have him make an appearance in that movie, and Sony Pictures cock blocked it. And they wouldn't let him do it. So
I think for the budget of all the Marvel movies combined together would still not equate what they would have to pay Sony.
Oh yeah, no, Sony just does not care. Yeah, no. So I mean, I feel like you should, when you look at Spider-Man, when you go see the Amazing Spider-Man, just think about how maybe it's not your favorite movie, but it is still way better than what we would have got like 5-10 years ago from any of these superhero movies. And that's a good direction for it to keep going. And I'm glad that there are people taking it serious, even if they're trying to make it mass market. Like you said, we can have like The Dark Knight be just this gritty, edgy movie, and that's done by an actual director. Right, really a crime drama with Batman as like the backdrop for it. And then we can also have Avengers be like this popcorn summer blockbuster movie that's also written by Joss Whedon, directed by Joss Whedon, happened to be entertaining. Right. So I mean, I'm glad that we can have this now, because it used to be that you would not get this. Like them. Right, and it's and everybody's like awesome, Spider-Man awesome. So he was good.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to talk about one particular scene that I can't get out of my head. It was so good. It was so intense when Kurt the Killer Croc Connors comes out of the laboratory. And he's walking out into the street, and it's kind of quiet for a second, and then like somebody pops up and just starts shooting at him, and then like all these other guns start popping. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, that is so good. I was like, that is one way to kill a giant killer croc, is with a whole bunch of bullets. And like he fell over on his back, and like you see his back exploding with the blood. I was like, oh man, that is so awesome. I don't know, I really like that. and then they all turn into mini Killer Crocs, which
mini
I would have loved to see more of like police officer Killer Crocs like running around flipping cars over and stuff.
Like, are you people serious? You would have rather seen that shit?
I mean, like a little bit.
Did you see the first Transformers? Don't worry.
Yeah, what are you people talking about? You'd rather see more crappy CGI lizard people running around?
Something.
I don't know.
It was like a weird like
V reboot.
Yeah, well, it's like one of those things like they get hit with it, and then like it's just a setup to like show that like the antidote works. I guess I don't know. Is that the point of that scene?
Yeah, pretty much is.
Now something that we can bring up very briefly. Something that I don't know that I didn't enjoy it because I really didn't notice the score for most of the film.
Okay,
but there were 3 points in the film. One whenever he grabs the camera or something, and then whenever he's walking through the laboratory to find Emma Stone. There were 3 points that the music was horribly jarring. It hurt my head. And then whenever he's walking to the laboratory, they play this shrill piano thing twice.
Yep.
It didn't tie into anything that they were doing with the music, and I hated it.
Soundtrack sucked.
The soundtrack, I wouldn't say sucked.
Yeah, it did suck.
I would say the soundtrack was very eccentric and did not.
Do you know the moments I'm talking about?
Yes, no, I know very well. There were points in doing the movie where I hit Andrew and was like, what the hell is up with the soundtrack in this movie? Even like the orchestra, like they had like weird singer doing things in the background. A bunch of weird stuff in that movie.
Jamie, my wife, mentioned she's like, I felt like that was a soundtrack that would have been done in the early '90s or mid '90s or something with just this weird kind of. And I just don't think I agree with that. And like her, we just didn't agree that it worked for the film.
I did notice it because it did to me stand out as like a. Wait, why is this track being played right here?
That specifically is when I was like, dude, you gotta fix this.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. I think everyone who's seen the movie knows exactly what we're talking about.
Like there was and the worst part is there was no allusion to those piano things. It was just like ding out, ding out. That's it. We're done.
It was very strange,
horribly jarring.
At first I thought it was like part of the scene, like it was like something in the lab was like making weird noises. I was like, no, that's definitely piano. That's not actually in the scene.
It's perfectly.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a horror. You're supposed to be scared.
From a Goomba.
So overall, like, see, y'all, Andrew and Josh, both you would recommend this or not recommend someone to go see?
I would say that I didn't waste my money by going to see it. I was entertained by it. I think if The Dark Knight Rises comes out and it's even half as good as The Dark Knight, I will still say that Spider-Man is the lesser of the 3 superhero films this summer. I really wouldn't.
I think it's positioning itself at the beginning.
I would say that someone who's not really big into superhero films, I wouldn't recommend it to them. Yeah. But for someone who's inclined to like that kind of thing, I would say give it a shot. You would probably at least enjoy it.
I kind of disagree. I think someone who's not into superhero movies and doesn't like really have a kind of a standpoint on it to begin with, I think they might enjoy it a little bit more than someone who really does enjoy superhero movies. Yeah. I think it's. I think
for summer popcorn, like like throwing in this little romance, I think it works for what it's trying to do. I think it's very disjointed at points, but I feel like it works for anyone to go see the movie, whether you like superheroes or not.
I just feel like because I feel like the Avengers, which
that's a different level of movie. I would agree.
But what I'm saying is, all the other Marvel films have only been pretty good to me at best. The Avengers and Batman, they've shown that you can do these movies extremely well,
right.
And so just it's not an excuse anymore. I don't think, and I don't give it to this film. I don't give it to them. Regardless of what the tone was, I don't feel like superhero movies, because they've been shown to really escalate the genre, I don't feel like we should give them the same pass that we used to. I feel like Daredevil was a bad movie, but we're like, oh, it's a superhero movie. I don't feel like it works that way anymore. I
that's
feel
a good
like
point. That's a good point.
So Andrew, what were you?
Since there will be sequels to this Amazing Spider-Man movie, I would say go see it just to see what all the fuss is about. I mean, you're gonna see it anyways because the second one might actually be pretty good, and just to see where the story comes from. I don't know. I don't know. Go see it.
There were parts of it that I can see where you would say it was just an average movie. Like I can see where you would feel that way. But I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed it. But
yeah, it was, yeah.
I think
cool.
I think their overall handling of Spider-Man was
respectable.
You're right. I don't think they did anything that they shouldn't have with Spider-Man.
Yeah, they didn't do Spider-Man 3 again.
I don't feel like it was I feel like the studio probably had some say, but I feel like people who actually were interested in the subject made the film. And that was good.
Yeah. But I think what you said about the studio was pushing for some things that's probably why it seemed as disjointed as it did. Because there were some very powerful hands being put in there that were definitely messing with some things.
Especially with the Avengers and all the Marvel
things. And the fact that 90% of the movie wasn't anything we haven't seen before.
Right, and that was my main thing where it still felt stale, and I think that's why it's not making as much money as the other films in the Spider-Man universe did, despite it being so many years from then, despite ticket prices being higher, despite having IMAX and 3D being very advertised, still not making as much money opening weekend. I feel like we're not the only ones here just like, okay, why is Spider-Man being remade again, like already? So I feel like that's everyone.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to our semi-mildly intellectual... whatever. Thank you for listening to us talk about The Amazing Spider-Man. Have no idea what we're going to talk about next time, and we'll let you know.
But we will talk about something again.
Something will be spoken about.
We're just going to talk about Spider-Man again.
Yeah. We're going to watch all three of the old ones.
We're going to watch it in reverse and tell you how we
Or we're going to watch more of the Japanese Spider-Man television show, which is
Let's talk about the Wonder Years on Netflix.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Let's end this. How about we end this podcast instead? Yeah.
Okay.
Neil's dumb.
Yeah.
Anybody play the Spider-Man game that came out for this movie?
Oh.
Go Stan Lee.